Have you achieved success and a high income, but still lack personal fulfillment and work-life balance? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful But Struggling podcast. Join us as Aaron, Eunicia, Joanne, and Mim share transformative insights and practical strategies just for you. Discover real stories and lessons that will elevate your personal satisfaction, professional accomplishment, and financial empowerment.
Hello, Successful But Struggling, and thank you for joining us once again for another amazing episode. Today, we're going to talk to one of our amazing podcast hosts who's going to be chatting with us and telling us a little bit about not only how she achieved what she achieved, but more importantly, why is the thought of leadership important to you, and how breaking through to the next level could actually mean a world of difference, whether it be on a personal, career, or business side. So today I'm joined here, as you might guess, by Mim Abby. Mim Abby is a leadership coach working with some of the world's largest corporations. But not only, she also works with a lot of leaders, a lot of business owners, and a lot of individuals that are looking to truly up their game to the next level. And listen, for me, I can understand that because as you guys know, I too have worked with some of those amazing brand names in the past. And so to know that Mim is out there walking the halls of some of those corporations is absolutely amazing. So Mim, today you're walking the halls of Successful But Struggling, and we are so thrilled to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Eunicia. I love being here with you, and I love being here talking about this topic that indeed is so near and dear to my heart.
So Mim, once again, you're walking the halls of Successful But Struggling, and thank you for that. We're so thrilled to have you, and lucky at the same time. One question that I would love to kind of dovetail in before we go into understanding kind of how did your journey start? How did you get to where you're adding so much value to your clients? But for our listeners, how would you define leadership coaching, and what exactly does that look like? Because most people, when they think of leadership coaching, they're thinking, oh my God, somebody that's going to come in and do exactly what. But one thing that I know for myself, as well as for some of the other amazing leaders in this world, is they all have leadership coaches. How would you define that for our audience so that we can have a level playing field?
That's such a big question, Eunicia. We're just starting big here, folks. Yes, thank you for asking that. You know, I have so many beliefs about leadership. And one of them is that while I am a leadership coach with leaders at, again, some of the world's most famous companies, all over the world, done a lot of been on different soil across the globe with these people who they are walking the halls of leadership. And what I know is, in addition to these people, we are all leaders in some capacity. So I just want to start there, because if you're listening and you're saying, well, I was a leader and then I went back to doing something different, and you are a leader no matter what you're doing. So that is something, and we all have a responsibility, I deeply believe. And so whether you have the label of leader, whether you feel like a good leader, to know that you are a leader and your leadership is important. Now, in terms of the work, because let me go back to that, because you have an impact, we all live in a very visible world and people are watching you, and you are all, whoever you are setting an example in your world and in your sphere. And that example might be for better. Example might be for worse. But I want us all, as we start this episode, to think about our own leadership. And part of the reason I say this, Eunicia, is that I've had leaders say to me after doing some work with them, I've had leaders say to me, and once even with someone with tears in their eyes, a leader with tears in their eyes, saying, I never realized how much in a fishbowl I am. And this is someone who had the title of leader. And the reason they said that is because I was coaching them through a challenging situation with their team, with all the people reporting to them. And it was challenging, and it was a challenging experience for the team. And when the leader finally really understood the impact that they had, and it was not a good impact. When the impact that they had on their team, it was a huge wake up call. And this individual shared that with me. I never realized how important and how impactful that I have an impact on other people's lives. I just thought they're coming to work for me, we're getting work done, and then we're leaving. But it's more than that, because we spend
Mm,
so much time at work. We are more connected than we think. And what you do and what you say really matters. And that's what when I think about leadership and how do we define leadership, and the work that I do with leaders, I help them to see things more deeply so that they can make positive changes in their businesses with their teams. And of course, if you make a positive change with your team, that's going to impact the business. I say in the business also because I do a lot of work with how they are leading the customer and working with the customer so that they can make their business more effective. Uh, but Eunice, it's not just that. I really help people to, and I think a big part of leadership is your own self leadership.
so
And
true.
yeah, and that's really where it starts. And if you are not taking your self leadership seriously, and if you're not really investing time and attention and effort into strengthening your own self leadership, then something's going to come apart at the seams. So that's how
Absolutely.
I would, yeah, that's how I would define it. Sounds like some of that resonates with you,
Of
Unicia.
course it does. I mean, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? The idea of the fishbowl? How many times? I mean, if you're listening, how many times? Maybe you didn't exactly envision yourself in a fishbowl, but the likelihood, you said something that was very, very important in addition to the fishbowl. Ma'am, you said the idea of you are setting an example. And I would go out on a limb to say, you're in a fishbowl regardless of what you do in your life. If you're listening and you're on this
Yeah.
podcast, you are a leader in your own right, whether it be because you own a business, whether it be because you own a practice, whether it be because you're at a leader in your organization where you work, where people are looking at you, or if none of those matter, if none of those apply, guess what? You're a leader in your own life. You're a leader in your own family. And so that fishbowl concept can become very scary when you're on your own. And maybe you mentioned something about investing in yourself. That's one of the biggest breakthroughs that for me, and I'm so thankful that you mentioned it. It was one of the biggest breakthroughs for me when I shifted from corporate America into business ownership and entrepreneurship and working with even my family. It's how do we define ourselves? How do we feel comfortable when we know everybody else's eyes are on us and not allowing ourselves to go into, just like inwards, but rather continue to flourish. So very, very impactful there. Wow, that was very powerful. Very powerful. So tell us a little bit about how did you get started, ma'am? I know you've been in the industry, focusing on leadership and helping leaders grow for a really long time. But what made you go into that facet?
Yes, Unicia, my background, I started when I was 22 in the computer industry and really found a role in a learning and development department. And I was kind of fresh into my professional career, and I was hired and had the great fortune to learned from a great leader myself in my company. My boss was an amazing example. Speaking of that fishbowl, and I learned. I mean, I basically got an advanced education just right there, and working with this particular leader who. Led the department in such a way that it was very tied to the business. How can we support the business? And I learned the ropes of internal learning, helping people to grow and to in their professional career. And I ran an internal university in this company in the computer industry, and so we offered business courses internally for our employees all over the world. and thousands of employees all over the world. We ran technical programs, we ran leadership and communication, and how to work better with your team, et cetera. And so that was my introduction to leadership and to working with leaders. In that I worked from all elements of what happens inside an organization, and when for people to perform at their highest level, what are some of the things that they need? What is the support they need from their own leadership? Because here I was running, I was ultimately, I began leading programs myself. I led programs in teamwork and team development and all the stages and the challenges of working together as a team to put out something really successful, and ultimately started in first level leadership, and I started coaching supervisors and ultimately into managers, et cetera. That career grew into and ultimately an external consulting career, and where I really uh, dove deeply into my work with leaders and began working with the next level manager and the next level managers and then directors and then executives, and now I work with all levels, but I do top level executive teams, work with the entire intact team, whether it's an offsite or whether it's individuals on that team needing to, if they're having challenges as a team or having challenges in leading their own teams. And what I've also added to my portfolio, which has been incredibly important for the leadership component, is sales, Unicia, because of course that's what leaders ultimately you have to do. You got to drive the business, and if we don't
So
have
true.
customers, yeah, if we don't have customers, and if we are not serving our customers in the right way, and if we're not growing and expanding and strengthening our customer base, then there is no business. So when I tell sales teams, I work with sales teams and I work with sales leaders and the CROs, and what I tell them is, if you're not thinking about yourself, don't necessarily think about yourself in sales. Expand that. Think about yourself, and you are leading other people. You are leading other people. In fact, Unicia, that's one of the biggest surprises I had when I expanded my business from simply working with leaders to also working with customer facing. Primarily, leaders are customer facing. Many, of course, are, but people who are, that is their full job. People who are
Hmm.
in sales, and because I found that it's the same skills. You're
Yes.
building relationships. You're listening to people. You are helping people move ultimately from here to there. You are shifting mindsets. And it's the through line, the links there are tremendous.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you're hearing to Mim sharing that, just those golden nuggets with us in terms of from a leadership standpoint and the similarities between on the professional side, but also for individuals that are in sales. At the end of the day, somebody once said to me early on in my consulting career, Unicia, you're in sales, congratulations. And I thought, me sales, no, 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 I couldn't be a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. The reality is you're selling yourself every day, whether it be because you're selling yourself to your team at the office, whether it be because you're selling yourself to a client or to a patient, or whether it be because you're selling yourself even to your family, even as a parent. Our kids are buying us every single day. I can tell you mine are, and I can tell when they know that I'm bluffing because that's just the reality. It's everywhere, right? So this is very, very important, not just to hear, but to hear from somebody like Mim with so much wisdom and so much experience. So Mim, one of the things that I'd love to know is, why do you do what you do, especially in your in an environment where you're acting as a consultant, as a coach, as someone that so many people rely on for that support to help them break through their ceilings and take them to the next level?
Mm. Oh, yes, Eunicia, I love what I do. And what I find is that a couple of things. First, if you are in leadership, it typically means that you want more. And now I've worked with people who are in leadership who they just kept falling into leadership positions and moving and moving and moving. And they sort of said, I kind of didn't even go for any of these. I kept getting picked. Well, let me tell you, if you keep getting picked, it means that you do want more. It means that you're giving off something that is showing your leadership that I'm someone who's going to make things happen. And so you can trust me, you can give me the reins of the business, and you can trust me with that because I'm not sitting around.
That's
So
so
that's
impactful.
yeah, so I know, or you may be someone who you lobbied for every promotion you got, and if you did, good for you. That's either way. If you're a leader, you're someone who wants more. You want to create more. You want to stretch yourself more. You want to grow more. You want to contribute more, and I salute that. I love that. I honor that. And then the second part in thinking about what's important and why I do what I do is that leaders are typically not. There's an old saying that says leaders are born, and leaders are not born, leaders are made. And I've had people come to me and say, let's say they were in the camp of people who they were promoted to be the leader because they were the strongest player and they needed someone, and so they grabbed them and they said, here, boom, you're a leader. And so many of us sort of fall into leadership, or we move to that next level, and we assume because we're smart and because we care, we genuinely care. I'm just going to say, I'm going to give that to us, that we're intelligent and our heart's in the right place, that we're going to be a strong leader. And it's just not the case. And I have seen people just crash and burn. And that's what that's when they come to me, is because either they're struggling with their team, they're struggling with their numbers, they're struggling to get to the next level in their own leadership career. Somehow your talent and your education and your ingenuity and your own natural agility took you so far. But at some point, just like any Olympic athlete, I mean, this is why I hung out my shingle, because like any Olympic athlete, their talent will get them through maybe the juniors or something. But I mean, if they want to go on, they want to go on to the majors, they want to ultimately get to win a gold medal. I mean, there's no way that there's not something else they need to learn,
That's so
and a
powerful.
way to right and a way to harness that natural skill and that expertise and that experience and whatever they bring, that education that they bring, that there's more.
It's amazing that you said that because I jotted down some notes here as you were talking, and you said if you're wanting more, if you're positioned to give more, if you've been tasked to give more, if you've been asked to do more, what I wrote down is you probably need help.
Yeah.
And then and then you talked about how leaders are made versus leaders are born. Even if you are born with leadership, with innate abilities to go to the next level, just like an athlete would need to go to the next level, once again, you need that help. Ma'am, this has been so powerful. My question to you, before we go to the kind of the final question for our time today is, where can individuals find you to learn more and possibly to schedule a call with you to just pick your brain and get some thoughts on what would next potentially look like for them?
Oh, absolutely. You can find me at mimabbey.com, and that's mimabbey.com. So you can find me through my website. And yes, as you mentioned, I would be more than happy to talk with anyone who's saying, what do I do next? I know I need to grow somehow. I'm getting stuck somehow business wise. I'm getting stuck somehow with the team, and I need some support. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. Very happy to talk with you about that.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this. If you've been and found success, if you're listening here, you already have found success. We know that. But if you found that success on your own and you're at the point where you're asking the question of, is there more? Can I do more? Or have you tapped yourself out? Just know that some of the biggest leaders in the world have their own leadership coaches. So let that sink for just a moment. You cannot go at making a big a wave or a big splash in life alone. You need the support, and so obviously you can get that through chatting with Mim and obviously learning more about what the stuff that we talk about here on Successful but Struggling. So, Mim, the last question I have for you today is, why is this podcast so important to you? Because I know that you're pouring your heart into it, like we all do. But why is it so important to you specifically?
It's a I want this podcast is important because it's right now in my work with people, I'm working with people who they already know what they need, and they this is why we work together. And so I'm in closed meetings with them, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person. I'm in boardrooms that the door is closed behind us. I'm in meeting rooms where the door is closed behind us and great things happen. And I, what keeps me up at night is thinking about the people who are just trying so hard to do a great job with their business, to do a great job with their team, to do the very best thing with their customer, to grow their own leadership career, and not knowing that there is more, that there is support that's available, that there is, rather than taking 5 years to figure it out on your own, which you may or may not, but there is a shortcut, there is a fast forward. And so having a podcast and getting out some of this information that can be helpful to people that's what I want to do. I want to help as many people as I can. And you know what I would say, Unicia, is what I would encourage you to do if you're listening to this and you're thinking about your leadership and how you want to grow. I want you to think about those 4 elements of leadership: how you're leading your team, how you're leading your customer, how you're leading anyone else, because there's others, there's colleagues, there's maybe your board or your boss, but so others, I'm just going to say the other category. And finally, the fourth is how you're leading yourself. And that's a great place to start, is just to be asking yourself, what's the caliber of this? And to really be honest with yourself about it. The more candid we are with ourselves, the faster we can make great decisions for ourselves and to move forward. And what do all those have in common? Your team, your customer, other people, and yourself, they're all humans. They're all humans. So really think about yourself. What's the quality of my connection? And push yourself on that. Ask yourself the hard questions. But that's where I would start.
Oh, I love that. I love that because that's exactly what we're talking about, even on the financial side all the time. It's lean into your vulnerability. It may not feel comfortable. It will not feel comfortable, as a matter of fact. But the moment you lean in and you get the support and you level up the kind of people and a kind of team that you work with, guess what? Success is just on the other side. You said something, Mim, about the shortcuts to success, and the fact that in order to get to the next level of leadership, you can go at it the hard way or you can go about it using shortcuts, because they're there for you to take advantage of them and leverage them to your advantage. They're not crutches. They're strategic moves and strategic empowerment into your future. Anything else, Mim, before that you would like to mention to our audience before we part for today?
Yeah. Just I would say, everyone, and remember to start with yourself. Don't be a leader who's going on fumes. And a great place to start is just to look at, how am I fostering my own self leadership, and in what ways am I maybe letting myself down and not supporting myself so that I can be the very best leader that I can be. I would start there, and then you can go on to thinking about, okay, and then how am I showing up for others? How influential am I being? How strong is my connection that people will want to do more business with me? People will want to raise me higher, and they'll want to work with me more, et cetera. All those good things. But start with, how are you doing with leading yourself?
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you're finding yourself in that fishbowl, asking yourselves those tough questions, you're in the right place. On Successful But Struggling, we're going to continue to be addressing some of those major issues that we know are swirling through your head. And listen, we're always looking forward to new ideas, fresh perspectives, things that you would want for us to talk about. So don't hesitate, reach out to us, reach out to the team, and let us know what those things are. And until then, we look forward to seeing you next time on our next episode.
Don't miss out on more strategies that will elevate you to new heights. Visit successfulbutstruggling.com now, where you'll discover exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with each of us individually. There you can dive deeper into how you, too, can take your personal and professional game to the next level. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Number 1, connect with us on the website. And number 2, tune in to the next episode.